The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRCmedia, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
This week in FRCmedia News, the Greater Fall River Community Food Pantry continues to serve dozens of residents who are food insecure. It won't be long before Fall River voters get back to the polls. And a local veteran is recognized for his selfless service. All this and more coming up. It's Thursday, January 18th, 2024. This is FRCmedia News. I'm Keith Tebow. We had another minor snow event this week, and cold weather is expected to remain with us through the weekend. The City of Fall River is working to set up a warming shelter over the weekend for those in need. This would be on top of the Tomeo Center drop-in shelter on Bay Street, which serves the homeless Monday through Friday. Stay tuned as we'll have more information when it becomes available. In operation for over 30 years, the Greater Fall River Community Food Pantry continues to impact more and more families in the 7 communities within its service area. Food Pantry President David Ferry and Vice President Richard Mancini say the fully volunteer operation at 235 Nashua Street is open Tuesdays and Thursdays from 10 a.m. to noon and serves upwards of 200 individuals a week.
Trend is growing. The population of fixed income individuals has been growing. There's a real need for that element. There's just no way of supporting the limited income people unless they come to a facility like this for food. And then we've also seen a lot of younger individuals. That's becoming quite active now, more so than it's ever been. We're talking about 20, mid-20, early 30s coming in. Young families with 2 or 3 children trying to support and make ends meet with the high rents, etc. And coming here for this additional food support.
We have seen an increase in a lot of immigrants coming in from foreign countries, especially over probably the last 4 to 6 months. We've seen a lot of migrations from a lot of these countries, Ecuador and Mexico and
Brazil, Venezuela.
Yeah.
Residents need to pre-register and show proof of residence before being eligible for food distribution. Each family receives around $250 worth of food a month.
We have probably a dozen minimally of produce, of fresh produce. We have 45 at least canned goods and packaged goods. And you come around to this section, you've got juice and milk and water, pastry, bread, fresh eggs. So those are really good essentials. One of the other things that we try and do here is we try and have strange items that you don't normally get at a food pantry, but soap, deodorant, paper towels, toilet paper. We try and keep those here so that everyone can get that item. The other thing that we have that most people do not distribute is diapers. So we come in, we have a whole large assortment of diapers for the younger people with babies. So those are items that we try and hand out that are a little out of the ordinary.
And they also start off with fresh meat. We have pork chops, we have chicken, we have hamburger, sometimes turkey. For the holidays, we always have whole turkeys. Last year, we distributed 620 turkeys during Thanksgiving.
The food pantry receives most of its food donations from the Greater Boston Food Bank. It also relies on local donations and corporate support.
We have a number of banks who contribute to us on a regular basis. United Way contributes to us in their funding, and we have a couple of large foundations that contribute tremendous amounts of money. We have St. Anne's Hospital has been supporting this organization since its inception. They give us a sizable amount for food purchase. And then we also have a lot of the supermarkets that are ours. When we say ours, it's food, it's Feed America through the organization. And what that happens to be is Stop and Shop or Shores or these facilities get involved with Feed America, and then through them they're allocated to various food pantries. So we have a couple of Shores, a Walmart, we have the 2 local Targets, the Walmart in Swansea, the Stop and Shops, 2 of the Stop and Shops, the Shores up in the North End. There are designated facilities, so we go there on a mostly either singly or twice a week and pick up leftover or surplus food that they have.
Mr. Mancini and Mr. Perry say on food distribution days, the line outside the facility begins to form as early as 7 a.m. Many clients are return customers.
In many cases, it's an opportunity for them to meet. You know, I'll see you next Tuesday, and they're back again, and they become friends, and they chit-chat, and they spend an hour or 2 or 3 out here just chit-chatting, and that's what they do. So it's a meeting place for many of them. You know?
Yeah. Well, even when they come inside, you know, we individually walk them through the facility, and it's an opportunity for them to speak with someone. Some of these people don't have anyone to talk to. You know, they probably live by themselves at home, and when they come here, it's an opportunity for them to at least have a conversation with somebody one-on-one.
The food pantry currently has 43 active volunteers and is looking for more. One option is for local high school students to take part, needing to fulfill their community service requirements.
What it is it's an eye-awakening situation when these younger students, most of them are coming from maybe a more affluent family, and to come in here and see the level of need and then interacting with those individuals, it's a good experience for them. And that's one of the things that we like to do as an organization. We like to help the community in those areas. That's a nice outreach for the younger generation to get involved in that. And hopefully, if it might ignite some desire for them to participate in that more strongly as they get the opportunities.
For more information or to donate to the Greater Fall River Community Food Pantry, you can call 774-365-4292 or visit their website at greaterfrcfoodpantry.org.
People eat 365 days a year. Everybody likes to contribute on special occasions. Everybody, you know, we get flooded during Christmas and Thanksgiving, but people have to remember that, you know, people eat 365 days a year, not just around Christmas and Thanksgiving. So, you know, just don't forget us. Yeah. Don't forget us the rest of the time. Yeah. We're here.
Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey last night delivered her first State of the Commonwealth Address before a joint session of the legislature. The governor recapped the successes of her first year in office while recognizing the fiscal challenges that may lie ahead. She said state government should work to make life easier for all residents. One of her initiatives for the coming year is to make owning a home and paying rent more affordable.
We're dealing with a housing shortage that's decades in the making. To get costs down, we have to go big, and we have to go big now. That means passing our $4 billion Affordable Homes Act, which is the most ambitious housing plan in Massachusetts history. Because if you're born here or you come to school here, I want you to be able to stay here. I want you to be able to grow a business, grow a family. And for businesses, I want you to be able to stay here, expand here, and I want you to be able to hire employees who can afford to live here. So let's work together, let's get going, let's pass this bill. Because when we do that, We will create middle-class housing and make homeownership a reality for families who've been priced out for far too long. We will build affordable homes at every income level and repair our long-neglected public housing.
The governor also wants to ensure that Massachusetts children begin learning as soon as possible, and that means expanding childcare opportunities and pre-K education.
It's an opportunity we want for every child. So here's what we need to do. It's our Gateway to Pre-K plan to save families money and transform early education in our state. First, we'll direct help to thousands of families by expanding eligibility for state financial assistance. In this program, childcare costs are capped based on what you can afford. Next, we'll set a new goal for early education in Massachusetts. Let's have universal pre-K for every 4-year-old in Massachusetts. Let's do it. I want, by 2026, a guaranteed access to high-quality, affordable preschool for every 4-year-old in all 26 of our gateway cities. That means a seat in a classroom for over 23,000 children.
When it comes to expanding pre-K in Fall River, the city has already begun working on providing free pre-K for all. Mayor Paul Coogan says the state's proposal could help offset some of the costs of the program, especially since the city is expanding pre-K access across the city.
We've now used the old Atlantis Charter School. I think it's 2501 South Main Street. Right now, we're only using that strictly as a pre-K building. The first couple of floors are all classrooms for our pre-K. We're looking at another building that we want to put some renovations in, which this money may help with, to get more pre-K kids in. We think that's the way to get kids better prepared for both kindergarten and grade 1, is give them a solid foundation in pre-K. And we're working hard to expand our seats there. We still have St. Anthony of the Desert. We rent the old Montessori school from them. So we're not going to let our foot off the pedal there. If we can get more seats, and the state decides, because obviously they are, that it's very important, we're going to go with them.
The city as of late has been proactive in reacquiring city property that was sold to developers who did not follow through on their plans. Just last week, the city council voted to approve a move to reclaim the Sylvia School on Hartwell Street.
The Sylvia School was an area that had been bounced around for different ideas. We actually had a couple of people look at it with the present, the last owner, who bought it from the city for whatever it was, $5,000 or $10,000 a few years back. They were going to put a boutique hotel there. That never came to fruition. We had someone else go in there and look at the possibility of putting a hotel in there. That didn't play out. So now we're going to take it back. I am pleased that there are 2 or 3 developers that have called about the site, because Fall River is still a very hot market that may want to tackle it. There's some brownfield issues there. There's decay like you've never seen. And I would think the building has to come down, but some of these architects and contractors can do tremendous work. So we'll see how it ends up. But we're going to try to move that back off the city's property list as fast as we can, depending on the work involved.
Mayor Coogan says the city is also looking to reclaim the old police station on Bedford Street. The 2024 presidential election got underway in earnest this week with the Iowa caucuses. Soon enough, we here in Massachusetts and Fall River will once again be going to the polls. The Fall River Board of Election Commissioners has announced that local voters will soon be receiving an application in the mail for those interested in voting by mail this year. Election Commission Chair Ryan Lyons says the application will cover 3 state elections in 2024.
There's going to be 4 options on the vote by mail application for 2024 that voters will receive from the Secretary's office. You can check the box for all 2024 state elections, or just for the presidential primary in March, the September 3rd state primary election, or for the November 5th biennial state election. It's completely up to the voter. Any voters who are interested in applying for a mail-in ballot for one or all of the 2024 state elections should fill out their applications, sign it, and return it to my office as soon as possible. Don't wait until the last minute. And the deadline to apply for the presidential primary, which is being held on March 5th, is Tuesday, February 27th by 5 p.m.
Mr. Lyon says Fall River voters have been fairly receptive to exploring the option of voting by mail.
In 2020, vote by mail was first introduced to the public, but that was through a special act of the state legislature and through a pandemic. So in November 2020, we had 15,000 applicants. I don't know if that's going to be the case come November 2024. And this will be the first presidential primary where we had voting by mail. So I'm kind of intrigued to see what the numbers are going to be like. I would anticipate, seeing how it is a state election year that includes a presidential election, that the interest is going to be a lot higher than 2023, for example. So I would anticipate the numbers to probably be similar to what we saw in 2022, that we might have upwards between 8 to 10 to 12,000 applicants who are going to be interested in applying for a mail-in ballot.
The first election of the year will take place on March 5th with the presidential primary. Along with the mail ballots, voters will also have the opportunity to vote early in person 1 week prior to Election Day.
There's going to be in-person early voting held in the atrium here at Government Center. There's going to be 1 week for the March presidential primary starting on February 24th, and it's going to run consistently all the way through Friday on March 1st. I've set the hours for the weekends to run from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. and the weekdays from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And there will be parking spaces reserved for voters outside of the Sullivan Drive entrance. So for anyone who is interested in voting in person early, you're more than welcome to do so. Just please enter the building through the Sullivan Drive entrance, and we're more than happy to help you.
Even though mandated by state law, Mr. Lyon says interest in early in-person voting has waned in recent years.
First inception in November 2016, where we had about 1,200 people voting early in person, but since the introduction of voting by mail, it's waned significantly. In November 2022, for example, we only had about 500 people who had voted early in person. So between the two, I want to say voting by mail is the more popular of the option, but it's still one of the options available for voters. So, whether you want to vote early in person, you want to apply for a mail-in ballot, or you want to vote in person on Election Day, regardless of your method, please remember to cast a ballot this year. There is no excuse.
For more information on getting a mail ballot application or early in-person voting, you can contact the Elections Office at Government Center at 508-324-2630. We'll have more FRC Media News right after this.
Here's some job descriptions on the latest hot jobs list from the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center. Service Maintenance Technician 2. Community Builders, located at 219 5th Street, seeks a full-time Service Maintenance Technician 2, responsible for promptly responding to all service requests, apartment turnover preparation, and the preservation and maintenance of the property. Job number 202-52336. Executive Dean, Academic Affairs, Bristol Community College, located at 777 Ellsbury Street, is seeking a full-time Executive Dean, Academic Affairs to provide strategic direction, oversight, and support for academic initiatives and strategic plan. Job number 202-62340. Patient Care Supervisor, St. Anne's Hospital, located at 795 Middle Street, is looking for a full-time patient care supervisor, responsible for coordinating leadership direction to hospital personnel and shift activities to maintain continuity in the delivery of patient care. Job number 202-58009. Case Assistant, Bristol Elder Services, located at 1 Father de Valleys Boulevard, number 1, is looking for a full-time case assistant. For more information, call 508-675-2101. Point 32 Health, located at 534 Prospect Street, has an immediate need for the following full and part-time positions. Asset Specialist, job number 202-57272. IT Portfolio Manager, job number 202-56782. For more information about these and other positions, visit Mass Hire JobQuest at jobquest.dcs.eol.mass.gov or call the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center at 508-730-5000.
Welcome back. Devising a strategy to promote the ideals of diversity, equity, and inclusion was the focus of Bristol Community College's 24th annual Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Community Breakfast and Day of Service held this past Monday at the college's Fall River campus. The event recognized students who submitted essays related to the impact of Dr. King's teachings on improving social justice. Marupiola Faith Ojuro was the first place winner of the essay contest. She says progress has been made in fighting injustice among all diverse groups, but there's still a struggle to achieve true equality.
Fighting institutionalized racism was made possible by victories like the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Barack Obama becoming the first African American president in 2008 symbolized progress towards a more inclusive society. As a result of MLK's legacy, we have seen the power of collective movements in recent years. The fight against racism, gender inequality, and LGBTQ+ rights have gained momentum worldwide, challenging entrenched norms. With Black Lives Matter, for example, we've been forced to confront uncomfortable truths about police brutality and systemic racism, igniting conversations that lead to lasting change. As King's dream becomes a reality, challenges persist. Education, employment, healthcare, and criminal justice continue to be disparately impacted by systemic racism. COVID-19 further exposed those inequities by disproportionately affecting marginalized communities.
The keynote address was delivered by Yolanda Dennis, the Director of Equity, Diversity, Inclusion, and Family Engagement at Greater New Bedford Regional Vocational Technical High School. She says one way to combat racism is to identify our own prejudices.
Bias, both conscious and unconscious, is the silent enabler of racism. It is the lens through which we view the world. It is important to recognize that while blatant acts of racism are undeniably harmful, subtle biases can be equally damaging. They seep into our thoughts, attitudes, and behaviors, often without our awareness, and left unchecked, it results in discrimination, microaggressions, and systemic inequality. To truly combat racism, we must address bias at its root. Regardless of race, gender, age, or background, we all have biases. When we normalize discussions about biases and habits of our minds, we just decrease defensiveness and instead generate awareness. Once people begin recognizing their biases, they can start eliminating harmful thinking. The goal should be continuous improvement, not immediate perfection.
And finally this week, a local city veteran has been recognized for his service to his peers. If you've attended veterans events in Fall River, you've likely seen Larry Barola. He recently was awarded the Frank J. McPherson Award for his service on behalf of shipmates of the Fleet Reserve Association, an organization that represents the interests of enlisted Navy, Coast Guard, and Marine veterans and active duty personnel in the United States.
Over the course of the last few years, he has organized, hosted, and attended a vast number of community and veteran events in the Bristol County area of Massachusetts. He attends the events, and whenever possible, he actively participates by staffing a table or actively participating in the events. Whether working with the FRA or external veteran groups, he looks to find the best outcome for all involved and truly exemplifies the core values of the Fleet Reserve Association: loyalty, protection, and service. Shipmate Larry lives the FRA's cardinal principles through the buddy system. He has taken it on to ensure 2 of the shipmates attend all their medical appointments. He has set up the daily breakfast meeting at a local diner for shipmates to drop in. Larry brings a considered and thoughtful approach to leadership, but equally willingness to learn. No one has to be rushed. I have both interacted with him and observed him working with branch shipmates. He takes the time to listen and makes sure all are included. Yet when it is time to take the initiative, he does it with gusto and determination. His honesty, friendliness, and considerate nature are qualities that make him a natural leader. Larry has time for everyone who comes to him.
We'll wrap up this edition of FRC Media News after this.
Hi everyone, welcome to Hot Dogs and Cool Cats. Today with me we have Cora. Cora is a year-old rat terrier. Cora is another one of our Puerto Rico dogs, though she is a little older than the normal puppies we get in. She is super sweet, a little shy, but thank you. But she is getting to know us a little better, and as her personality is starting to show. Typical rat terriers that are going to be little hunting dogs, so they do like to chase things around the yard, they do dig, but besides that, she is a total little lap dog, sweetheart, definitely enjoys being held and cuddled. She'll do fine with kids. I think she'll do fine with cats, kids, other dogs. She's relatively young. She'll need basic like obedience training, leash training, just because she is from Puerto Rico and on the younger side. If you're interested in coming to meet Cora, once you've filled out an application, you can make an appointment to meet Cora at Forever Paws Animal Shelter at 300 Linwood Street in Fall River, Mass.
Today with us we have Emmy. She is 10 years old, domestic short hair. She was an owner surrender. She's more low energy. She's not super playful. I haven't really seen her play with too many toys. She doesn't mind being picked up and held. I think she would probably do better in like a quieter home. If you had like a young kitten in the house, I probably wouldn't say she'd be the best match. If you did have other cats, I'd probably say other ones that are probably more mellow. If you want to come down and meet Emmy, you can give a call to Forever Paws Animal Shelter to make an appointment to see her. I know she'd love to meet you.
That's all for this edition of FRC Media News. Please visit our website at frmedia.org for all the latest news and local information. FRC Media News airs Thursdays at 6 p.m. and Fridays at 5:30 p.m. For all of us here at FRC Media News, I'm Keith Tebow. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next Thursday.